Hello, welcome to the video. Today we're gonna take a look at Pangoro in the Open Great League. This Pokemon got next to the move Karate Chop, which also got buffed this season. But also, we're going to have some interesting other Pokemon here, like the buffed Clodsire and my favorite Greninja. Greninja actually going to be great for this team here, and generally speaking, gonna be great for the current meta, as a lot of Pokemon are weak to this Pokemon, but also a lot of the answers for this Pokemon are now weaker this season, making Greninja a great safe swap for this team. And so let's take a look at some of the battles here as you're going to encounter Talonflame in the first matchup. We have two decent answers for Talonflame in both Clodsire as well as the Greninja. In comes here the Licky from the opponent. We're gonna be able to take that body slam like it's nothing, and we can try to go for a close combat in order to knock them out. So let's see how this is gonna go. We're gonna be able to get the knockout, and in comes again the Talonflame, which we can now try to retaliate against with the Night Slash. This is going to allow us maybe to even get a boost, and we get the boost, which allows us to even get to another Night Slash, and this just showcases again on how insanely spammy Pangoro is in the current meta, forcing the opponent now to go for a charge move straight away against my Greninja, which can just use a shield, and also in the back is going to be a Pokemon I don't really like. We see some lag there. I wanted to swap a little bit earlier, but it just didn't work for me because of the lag, which is fine. We are going to be able to go ahead and go for one Earthquake though against the opponent's Gastrodon, and they are gonna go for the Dragon Claw, which we can still take. Now I just have to hope that two Night Slashes are enough to knock out the opponent's Gastrodon. It's going to be resisted, but it is going to be enough, and so the opponent is going to go down with that. And now hopefully Talonflame doesn't have another charge move stored, and they do not, and so we can go for the full farm down and win the battle. An amazing lead is going to be happening here for us, and next as the opponent stops out into the Feraligatr, and it was a bit slow, and being a little bit slow can be a little bit of an issue, but here's one thing: you always need one less fast move compared to the opponent with your Pangoro, and that is going to be crucial, especially in the two-shield scenario, because you are going to be able to kinda get back to the speed of the opponent. And so what we're gonna see here as well is I can go for Night Slash, try to force a shield from the opponent again, but we are going to be able to easily win the CMP tie, and we're gonna be able to get to the CMP tie. Even though it was very slow at swapping out, we were still able to catch up to the opponent and get the knockout. Here as they're gonna go into that Jump Love. I can't stay in here because I don't want to have Jump Love against my Greninja, but at least you can still go for some Night Slashes, which are gonna do some decent damage. Should go for a close combat here, I think does a little bit more damage, but that being said, we are still going to be fine here. We can still go for a Night Slash, still going to be able to get them low. And in comes the Greninja against the Quagsire, and that is going to be a tough matchup, because this matchup here is not going to be ideal. We can go for the Hydro Cane, we get them kind of low, but one Stone Edge is most likely gonna knock us out, and that is not great whatsoever. And so we are down now to our Clodsire, but luckily we are going to be able to still go for the Stone Edge here. This is going to be able to take their knockout, and now it's only down to us against that Jump Love. And as you're gonna see, Jump Love is just lacking a little bit of the damage output here against the Clodsire. I'm not going to be able to two-shot us, and with this, we're going to be easily able to win this battle. As another Energy Ball is coming through, we can go for the Stone Edge, and that is going to be a very good game. Moving on to the next opponent, we're going to have another Jump Love here against us. That is going to be a very solid matchup as I swap out into the Gastrodon. Gastrodon is honestly one of the strongest Pokemon that you can currently run in the season. It is ridiculous on how good this Pokemon is. But yeah, anyway, we're going to see here the Body Slam coming through. We're going to use a shield against that, and we can go for a Hydro Cannon, hoping that we might get some nice damage onto them. In comes Hydro Cannon, doing a tremendous amount of damage here, as the Night Slash is going to be able to now connect. This is going to get the shield from them, as we will see our shield coming up. This is going to be a Body Slam coming through, and we will now try to go for another Night Slash afterwards. This is going to be enough to knock them out if they let the move go through, but they could realign themselves if they use both of their shields, but luckily they decide to not do that, which is great for us, because now we get some damage onto them. I think Hydro Cannon does a bit more damage, I think just slightly a bit more, but we can now go into our Clodsire, and I think with the Hydro Cannon damage, one Stone Edge plus the Poison Sting might be enough to just barely knock them out. And that is going to be also an update for the season, because Poison Sting would have definitely not done as much damage the last season, and that is going to be definitely something that gonna help Clodsire in this matchup. And honestly, Jump Love still I think is going to be one of the best Pokemon that you can run for the Go Battle League right now. I am kinda certain that this thing is going to have a huge role also in the play Pokemon format. This thing is going to be super good, and basically the preferred flying type Pokemon, especially in a meta where Gastrodon is one of the strongest Pokemon to run. We're going to see the jump bluff here as well again, trying its best. We can go ahead and let the move go through, but we have Stone Edge now, and Stone Edge is going to be enough to knock out the opponent, as it's going to be a super effective hit. Next one, we're going to have Clodsire in the lead as a mirror matchup, and this is the thing here as well, the opponent swaps out into the Greninja, allowing us to go into our Pangoro. The opponent has a very similar team to us apparently. Maybe they have their own Pangoro in the back as well, we have no idea at this current time, but we can go for a close combat for sure here, which is going to be able to get the shield from the opponent. I will be able to now use a shield again as well, and let's see if the opponent wants to realign or not. I really hope that they don't, but they might want to do that. We have to see, but it's actually not that bad, because if they're going to use a shield here, which they do, I should be able to fully farm them down with my own Greninja, getting some energy advantage, which might help me out against the opponent's last Pokemon as well. Yes, I get 2 fast moves advantage. In comes Low Kicks, a Pokemon that I was going to want to showcase eventually, but this Pokemon got a double buff this season, making it a very interesting pick here, but as we are going to be in a scenario right now, we have a nice energy advantage on all our Pokemon. The opponent is going to struggle quite a bit. Low Kicks has to go for the Trailblaze in order to knock out a Clodsire, or like do some damage against Clodsire, as the Exa is going to be resisted thanks to our poison typing. The opponent gonna try to go for an Earthquake, but we guarantee outspeed them thanks to the energy advantage that we got before, making this a very decent matchup for us, as now Low Kicks is forced to knock out 2 Pokemon and they need a ton of energy for that, which the health is just not allow them there as well. They're not going to be able to overfarm too much, and they're not even going to be able to knock out the Clodsire. Moving on to the next opponent, we're going to have a very awkward lead, I would say. We have the Dragonite against us, so we're gonna be able to go ahead and go for a Stone Edge. This Stone Edge is going to be enough to hopefully knock them out. It is gonna get the shield from them, and we will see here as well if we are going to be able to go for another Stone Edge. We're not going to be able to do it in time, and also the opponent is going to be at 2 charge moves here, which can be a bit tricky. But if I'm gonna get rid of the shield here from the opponent, I would be even able to knock them out with Night Slash on either of my Pokemon, and as I would speed the opponent's Dragonite with them, I'm not really in a scary position anyway, but the opponent lets the move go through anyway as well, and we can swap out now into our Greninja against the opponent's Feraligatr. They're catching the move here onto the Azumarill. Azumarill is a bit of a problem for this team, don't get me wrong, it is still a Pokemon that we can play against. It's not like an instant loss, but it's definitely a little bit trickier. Our lead, of course, has super effective coverage as well with the fast move, but still not really an ideal matchup. But Greninja actually going to hit quite hard against the opponent, which we will see in this matchup as well. But I have to say, I did not really pay enough attention for this matchup here as well. I decided to randomly use a shield here, which I should have not done, for sure not. Doesn't make sense at all. Should have went to my Pangoro and hope for that one and try to catch a move then, but I didn't. And so the opponent's in a great spot. I can go for a Hydro Cannon. It's not going to knock them out. I can try to catch a move here, which did not work out either. And the opponent basically plays this perfectly, as they're going to get to the Hydro Cannon here on the CMP tie. And so, yeah, this is game over. Like, I would need to catch a move here. And even then, it's going to be very difficult to still come back from this matchup. And that is just because the opponent played this super well. Like, honestly, that was most likely a winnable matchup, but the opponent basically played everything perfect. And so Night Slash is coming through. We are going to be able to, let the move go through here because we cannot even swap out, and this is going to be a good game. Like, Greninja not going to be able to get through 2 Pokemon, especially not if Azumarill has some energy. It's a good game to the opponent. Moving on to the next opponent, we're going to have Clodsire against the Azumarill. That's going to be a very neutral matchup for us. We are going to be able to go up against this thing here, at least with some super effective fast moves, but the opponent has the same on their side. We're going to be able to reach that step Earthquake quite fast here, faster than the opponent, and we are gonna try to maybe catch a move eventually. We have to see here, but we can use one shield against the Hydro Pump, which is going to be great for us because a ton of energy just went all the way down the drain from the opponent, which is just gonna be great for the secondary matchup here. We're gonna try to go for the full farm down, and so we got rid of one of the hardest enters to our team here, which is just lovely. We're gonna stay in here, go for the Stone Edge, which in hindsight I should have went for the Earthquake because the opponent actually let the move go through, which I did not expect whatsoever, but as we will see here, Ice Beam is going to connect against us, and they go into their Talonflame. That is maybe a little bit of an issue because we are kind of low now on health, and it's down to Greninja to knock out the opponent. I can go for the step, super effective Hydro Cannon, but the opponent decides to use a shield, and I'm down to my last shield here, which I'm not going to invest. They decide to go for the Flame Charge, that is fine by me, and now it's down to Clodsire. We can still reach the Stone Edge in time, and honestly, Clodsire is so overpowered in the current meta. This Pokemon is so strong, and so, yeah, we're gonna be able to now just move on to the next opponent. We're gonna have a Relegator against us in lead, which means we swap out instantly into the Greninja. Gaining on the champ here is actually totally fine, as we're gonna be able to force some shields, but not only this, we are also going to have a great matchup later on with my Clodsire. And Clodsire can store up a ton of energy against the opponent's Machamp, as they're only going to have resisted damage usually if they run the recommended moveset. And so, as you will see here as well, we're gonna try our best to go for the Earthquake. We're gonna see the opponent going for the cross chop here, as we are gonna try our best to go and get a ton of energy here, because if they're gonna go back into the Relegator, I would be able to just go for an Earthquake then as well and maybe knock them out, which would be great, but we will find out here later. We're gonna see the Relegator come back in, but I decided to swap out straight away into my Pangoro just because I can still use my energy later on with my Clodsire anyway, and they swap out into their own Clodsire. That is going to be a very tough matchup for us to still win. We're gonna be forced to go for that Night Dash here, try to get them into a range where another, like just one Earthquake is going to be enough to knock them out. It's going to be a little bit of a tough one. We also kind of try to get rid of that switch clock. I could maybe go for a charge move here, but I'd rather decide to store up as much energy as possible, as I reveal that they have Sludge Bomb, which makes it all a bit more awkward because it's going to be the cheapest move for the opponent, and it would be a move that they would be able to store up two at the same time. But they can swap out now anyway into their Relegator. I can go for an Earthquake, but because they're not Shadow, it's not going to be enough to knock them out. And as they have a charge move stored, this game is over. It's kind of sad here because it was kind of a close one, and depending on like small things here, we would have maybe had a chance of winning this battle. But it is what it is. And we can move on to the final battle for today. Let's take a look at the last one here, a bit of a shorter video as well. That was mainly because I accidentally had a gameplay video in there as well from the team that I showcased before with the Malama team, which I just accidentally put in there and just had to cut out. So yeah, that's why it's a bit shorter, and I didn't really know what else to put in here. But anyway, we're gonna be able to go for Hydro Cannon. Hydro Cannon gonna do some super effective damage against the opponent's Clodsire, as I can reach out for the Night Sash to finish that Pokemon and see what they're gonna swap into next. We're gonna get the attack buff here. Double attack buff on the Greninja against the Clefable. It's going to be interesting because now I can go for the bait with Night Sash. There is no way that they're not going to use a shield here, because it's going to be such an important Pokemon to still keep around, and now they're forced to go for the Swift. I hope that I can still survive and get to another charge move, but we have to see here. We're gonna see that are we gonna die on the Hydro Cannon. And that's the thing as well, some opponents are actually able to get the move off there in those scenarios, but I'm never able to do that, which is kind of ridiculous. But also what is kind of ridiculous is our last matchup here. It's going to be the Mandibus. That is going to be quite a good for us, as we have Stone Edge, but not only this, we're also going to be able to catch the double resisted Dark Pulse here on our Pangoro. They don't do any damage with a fast moves here as well, and if I don't go for the close combat, I should be able to survive one aerial ace from the opponent. Aerial ace is not a great charge move at all, and so it's down to Pangoro now. Going for those close combats is going to be lovely. We will see the first close combat coming through. They swap out into the Clefable. Great play by the opponent, but I cannot see that this would save the opponent here at all, because now we can just go for the Poison Sting down against that Clefable. They are forced to go for the Swift. Swift is not the greatest move ever either, and so as you will see here, it barely does any damage. They decide to forfeit, and that is going to be it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed this one. If you did, feel free to leave a like, and I'll see you then. Bye bye.